Good day, sir. My name is John Allen P. Agnes B. Scream 2. We will talk all about citizenship, and this is 30 minutes video about citizenship. What is citizen? Citizen Citizen is a relation between an individual and state to which the individual owes allegiance and in turn entitled to its protection. Each state, each state determines the condition under which it will recognize person as its citizens. Para daw, if you abroad and and citizen and the condition under which that status will be withdrawn, recognition by state as a citizen. General carries with a recognition of civil, political, and social rights, which are not afforded to a non-citizen. In general, the basic rights normally regarded as arising from citizenship are the right to a passports, the right to live and return to the countries of citizenship, the right to live in that country and to work there. Some countries permit their citizenship to have multiple citizenships, while others insist on exclusive allegiance. A person who does not have citizenship of any state is said to be stateless, while one who live in the state's borders, who territorial status uncertain in a borderlander. And citizenship is a term denoting membership of a citizen of political society, which as membership implies reciprocally a duty of allegiance on the part of the member and the duty of protection on the part of the state. And citizen, what is citizen? Citizen is a person having the title citizenship. Kanana kay title. Kung nanay visa, di na pwede mawala ay pahawa. If you have a visa. He is the member of the democratic community who enjoy full civil or political rights and is accorded protection inside outside the territory of the states. Malagi. If you have a visa, di na ka basta-basta mapahawa sa nasa nga country. And citizenship and citizen distinguish from the nationality of national. From the point of view of international law, citizenship and citizen do not exactly mean the same of nationality and national. The national of a state include not only its citizens who enjoy full civil and political privilege, but also all others who are not its citizens, but because they have owe allegiance to it, are not regarded as aliens, while all citizens are nationals of a state. Not all nationals are citizens of the states. What is the meaning of the subject an alien? Alien. A citizen is a member of a democratic community who enjoy full civil and political rights. In monarchical states, he is often called subject. An alien is a citizen of a country who is residing in a passing through another country. Tawag din sa kanang balin-balin og lain country, that's called alien. He is the popularly called foreigner. He is not given the full rights to citizenship but is entitled to receive a protection as his person of property. What is general ways of acquiring citizenship? Number 1 is involuntary method. Involuntary method by birth because of blood relationship or a place of birth. And number 2 is voluntary. Number 1 is involuntary and number 2 is voluntary method. What is voluntary method? Voluntary method by naturalization except in a case of collective naturalization of an inhabitants of a territory which takes place when is ceded by a one state to another and result of consent or treaty. That's called treaty. What are the mode of acquiring Philippine citizens? Number 1 is Filipino by birth or national-born Filipino. A just solely rights of soil, which is the legal principle that our person nationally at birth is determined by the place of birth. By the place of birth. The territory of a given state. And letter B is just sanguineous, the right of blood, which is the legal principle that at birth an individual acquires the nationality of his or her natural parents. The Philippine adheres to this principle. And number 2 is Filipino by naturalization or naturalized citizen. What is that? Which is the judicial act of adopting a foreigner. Adopt a foreigner and clothing him with the privilege of a native-born citizen. It is implies the renunciation of a former of nationality and the act of entrance into a similar relation towards a new body. And next is classification of Filipino citizen. Number 1 is those who are citizens of the Philippines at the time of the adoption of his constitution. And number 2 is those whose fathers or mothers are citizens of the Philippines. Number 3 is the born before January 17, 1973 of the Filipino mothers who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority. And the last one is those who are naturals is according with the law. Kailangan sa batas, law. And next is ideal policy of naturalization. What's that? The policy on naturalizations shall be guided by our own national interests. Perhaps the ideal is that only those who have come to love the country, who have integrated themselves into the citizenry and who can contribute to the development of the nation should be conferred citizenship by a naturalization. And naturalization. What is naturalization? Naturalization is the act of formally adopting a foreigner into the political body of the state and clothing him with the right of privileged citizenship. Citizenship with the implies the reunification of the former nationality and the fact of entrance to a similar relation towards a new body politics. Next is nature of naturalization. An alien does not have a natural inherent or vestige fight to the admitted to a citizenship in a state vestige fight to admitted citizenship in a state. Citizenship as is a matter of grace, favor or privilege which as sovereign government may confer on or withhold from an alien or grant to him under such condition as it sees fit without support of any reason whatsoever. Citizenship in our public, be it ever most powerful nation, if the world can take such citizenship for granted or assume it as a matter of right in a view of the above. And the next is that the three ways of acquiring by a naturalization. Number one is by judgment of court. The foreigner who want to become a Filipino citizen must apply for a naturalization the upper regional trial court of first instance. The revised naturalizations act is the present naturalization law. Such law shall also continue in force pursuant to the transitory provisions of the Constitution, Art 18, Section 3. And number 2 is by deferent of act confess. That's number 2. In this case of law, making body simply enact and act directly conferring citizenship to a foreigner. And the last is by administrative proceeding. In under RA number 9139, known as the Administrative Naturalization Law of 2000, aliens born and residing in the Philippines may be granted Philippine citizenship by administrative proceedings before a special committee on naturalizations. The petition for citizenship shall be filed, which the committee which has the power to approve, deny, or reject application as provided in the law. And next is whom may qualified as Philippine citizen by naturalization under the revised Naturalization Act. Under Section 2, CA 573 or the revised naturalization law, the applicant must possess the following qualification. The following qualification is number 1 is he must not be less than 21 years of age on the day that hiring of the petition. And number 2 is he must have a residence in the Philippines for a continuous period of not less than 10 years. And number 3 is he must be a good moral character and believe in the principle underlying the Philippines Constitution, and must have conduct himself in a proper and irreproachable manner during the entire period of his residence in the Philippines, in his relation with the constitute government as well as the community in which he is living. And number 4 is he must own real estates in the Philippines worth not less than 5,000 pesos Philippine currency, or must have some non-lucrative the trade professions or lawful occupation. And number 5 is he must be able to speak or write English or Spanish or any one of the principal language. And the last one is he must have enrolled his minor children of school age in any of the public or private schools recognized by the Bureau of Public Schools of the Philippines, where Philippines history government and civics are the taught or prescribable as a part of the school curriculum during the entire period of the residence in the Philippines required of him prior to the hearing of the petition for naturalization as Philippine citizen. And next is who are not qualified to apply for naturalization of revised naturalization law. Under Section of 4 of the revised naturalization law, the following person cannot qualify for Philippine citizen. Number 1 is person opposed to. This is not qualified. This I read. This is not qualified to for a naturalization of the revised natural law. And number one is a person oppose or organized government of affiliated with any association or group of person who uphold and teach doctrines opposite or recognize government. And number two is a person defining or teaching the necessity or the property of a violence, persons assaults, or or assassination for the success and pro- prominence of their ideas, polygamists or believers in the practice of polygamy. And number three is a person convicted of crime involving moral turpitude. And number four is a person suffering from a mental alienation or incurable contagious disease. And number five is a person who during the period of their stay in the Philippines have not mingled socially with the Filipinos or who have not evinced or a sincere desire to learn and embrace the costumes, traditions, and ideal of the Filipinos. And number six is the citizens or subject of nation which whom the Philippines is at war. And the last one is the citizen are subject of foreign country other than the United States whose laws do not grant Filipinos the right to become naturalized citizen or subject thereof. Loss of citizenship. What is the loss of citizenship? A Filipino citizen may lose his citizenship in any of the following ways. Number one, voluntary, by a naturalization of a foreigner country. And letter B, number one, voluntary, and A is by naturalization of a foreign country. And letter B is a by express a renunciation of a citizenship expiration. And letter C is a by the subscribing to an oath of allegiance to support the constitutions and law of a foreign country. And the last one, letter D, is by rendering service to or accepting commission in the armed force of the foreign country. And the next is the voluntary loss or renunciation of a one's nationality is called expatriation. Expatriation. Number two is involuntary. Involuntary is by the cancellation of his certificate of a naturalization by the court. And letter B is by having been declared by a competent authority a deserter of the Philippines Armed Force in the times of war. And next is what are the grounds of requiring lost Philippine citizenship? What are the laws daw? And number one is the loss of Philippine citizenship by naturalization. And number two is by repetition, effect by merely talking to the necessary oaths of allegiance to the Republic of the Philippines and registering the same in the proper civil registry. And number three is by direct act of Congress. And the next is the retention of a question of citizenship. Under RA 9225, otherwise known as the Citizenship Retention and Reacquisition Act of 2003, which was approved in the August 29, 2003, natural-born citizenship of the Philippines who have lost their Philippine citizenship by reason or naturalization as a citizen of a foreign country are deemed to have required Philippine citizenship upon taking on oath allegiance to the Philippines Republic. The next is the oath of allegiance. My name is John Allen P. Agnes, solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the defined Constitution of a Republic of the Philippines and obey. This is the law. This is the oath of allegiance. I, John Allen P. Agnes, solemnly swear or affirm that I suppose to define a Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines and obey the laws and legal orders promulgated by the duty of constituted authorities of the Philippines, and hereby and hereby declare that I recognize and accept the supreme authority of the Philippines, and will maintain true faith and allegiance thereof, and that I am imposed that as obligation upon myself without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. The natural born citizen of the Philippines who after the effectively of the act become citizen of a foreign country shall retain their Philippines citizenship upon taking the aforesaid oath. And the next is derivated citizenship. Derivated citizenship is the unmarried child, whether the ligament or adopt below 18 years of age, who does who requires Philippine citizenship upon effectively of the act shall be deemed citizen of the Philippines. The next is civil and political rights and liabilities. Those who shall retain or reacquired Philippine citizenship under the act of shall enjoy full civil and political rights and be subject to all attendant liabilities and responsibilities under exciting law of the Philippines. And the following condition is number 1. This is the finding. This is the intending or exercise their rights and suffrage must meet the requirements under Section 1, Article 5 of the Philippines Constitution RA 9189, otherwise known as the Overseas Absentee Voting Act of 2003 and other existing laws. And number 2 is number 2 is those seeking elective public office in the Philippines shall meet the qualification for holding such a public office as required by the Constitution and existing laws, and the time of the filing of the certificate of candidacy make a person unsworn renunciation of any all foreign citizenship before any public officer authorized to administer oath. And number 3 is those appointed to any public office shall describe and swear to an oath of allegiance to the Republic of the Philippines. It's duly constitute authorized pure to their assumption of office of they must renounce their oath of allegiance to the foreign country where they took the oath, and never for those attending and practice their profession in the Philippines shall apply with the proper authority for a license of permit to engage in such as practiced. And number 5 is the right of both of elected or appointed to any public office in the Philippines cannot be extended to those who letter A is are the candidates for or occupying any public office in the country of which they are naturalized citizen, and letter B is are in active service of commission or non-commissioned officers in the armed forces of the country of which they are naturalized. And next is what is the effect of marriage of citizenship to an alien. Like what I said, alien is non-citizenship. And number one, under Section 4, a Filipino citizen who married an alien does not automatically lose his or her citizenship, even if his or her nationality was granted by his or her husband's or wife's country. And number 2 is only by their act of commissions are they deemed under the law of have renounced their citizenship, such as taking an oath of allegiance to a foreign country. And number 3 is if a Filipino woman marries an alien and acquires her husband's citizenship, she will possess two citizenships, Philippines citizenship that of her husband. What is allegiance? Allegiance is the loyalty owed by a person of his state. Section 5 prohibits, more particularly naturalized Filipinos from practicing what is called dual allegiance, declaring it inimical to a national interest. Note that what Section 5 prohibits is not dual citizenship but dual allegiance of citizens. And dual citizens refers to the profession of two citizenship by an individual that of his original citizenship and that of the country where he become a natural citizen. Its arrests because of laws cannot control laws of other states on citizenship, but dual allegiance can be a matter of a person choice or decision. And what are the duties and obligation of the citizen? Number one is to be a loyal to the public. Dapat loyal. Loyalty is implies faith and confidence in the republic of and love and devotion to the country. The citizen must be proud of his country, its custom, traditions, language, and institutions. He must share in its glories and feel sad in its misfortunes. It is the home of the people, home of our people, the seat of our affections and the source of our happiness and well-being. And number two is to define the state. What is define the state? Men may differ on religious belief and creeds, government policy, the wisdom and validity of laws, even the correctness or judicial decisions and decrees. But in field of love of country, national unity, and patriotism, they can hardly afford to differ for this or matters in which they are not mutually and vitally interested. For to them, they mean national existence or survival as a nation or national extinction. And number three is to contribute to the development and welfare of the state. The development and welfare of the state shall be the concern of every citizen, for he will be the first to enjoy the benefits thereof. Anything that affect him individual and personally, he is affected by its ills and disorder, growth and stability. And number four, to uphold the Constitution and obey the laws. It is the shrine for all the hopes and vision for our nation. Laws of enact in accordance with it for the good of all. It is thereof the duty of every citizen to define and respect the Constitution and obey the laws. If the people would disregards this disregards them, the government would collapse, and this would mean the lawlessness and the disintegration of social order. The Constitution contains provision designed to ensure that is the accord. Number 5 is to cooperate with the duly constitute authorities. The larger interests of the group and the nation that he must serve necessarily involve his own, and he would be recreant to the claims of interest if he did not actively concern himself with the affairs of his government. It is not enough, for example, that a citizen shall take care in his daily life. He does not violate any of multitudinous rules. And number 6 is the exercise right responsibly with due regards to the rights of others. Society is composed of men, each with interests of his own in the course of life. The interests of man conflict with those of many people image that continuous clash of interests, the ruling social philosophy shall be that, in the ultimate social order, the welfare of every man depends upon the welfare of all. And number 7 is to engage in a gainful work. Employment is na obligation solely of the state. Even citizens shall consider it is on the responsibility and shall strive to become a useful and productive member of society, to assure not only himself but perhaps more important, his family a life worthy of human dignity. And the last one is to regret and vote. This is the last one. Suffrage is both privilege and a duty which every qualified citizen must perform. It is through suffrage that will be of the people expressed. The quality of public official of the government depend direct or indirectly upon the voters. This is the last, sir, and that's all for today, and thank you. Have a good day and God bless. God bless and your family. Thank you.